All right, everybody, we're going to be reacting to words that mean the opposite in America. All right, let's get into it.
This is a comment I received on my first video speaking German. Do you think it's a compliment or not? Wow, this is quite good. If you think it's a straightforward answer, it's not. Well, not quite. You see, English is full of words that quietly flip meaning when you cross the Atlantic. Words that you think sound polite or a compliment, like this one, can really land you in hot water if you use them across the pond, including one word that American pilots use all the time that can make British passengers feel like something has gone horribly wrong with their flight. My name is Evan Edinger, and these are the English words that mean the complete opposite in the US
Hello, Evan.
and the UK. Take a look at this graph. It shows how British people rate common phrases on a scale of 1 to 10. At the bottom, you've got abysmal and appalling. Well, for some reason that's at the top of this list, but regardless, at the top, perfect and outstanding. The really interesting parts lie in the middle. The average British person rates the word good at a 6.92 out of 10, but when it comes to quite good, that's lower at a 6.48. So if a Brit says something is quite good, that means it's literally worse than good. This is quite the opposite of how Americans would use the word quite. When asked to rank these same words, Americans nearly always rate things higher than Brits, except when it comes to the highest rankings. When Brits say something is excellent, that really is high praise. They pretty much don't use their most positive words unless they really mean it. Americans are more, well, glass half full type of people, I suppose. When it comes to the expression quite good, for Americans, it is in fact higher than good. And that clocks. So American quite and British quite are quite the opposite. Quite in the US is used as an intensifier. It takes the original word and steps it up a notch. In the UK, quite dampens it a bit. Quite can be more or less replaced in the UK with the word fairly. Saying it's quite good is like saying it's fairly good. But as you probably guessed if you've watched a few videos about words on this YouTube channel, it wasn't always like this. You see,
That's interesting. I'm mad he's literally like, oh, it wasn't always like this. I'm about to add, I wonder what the origin of that is. Looks like he's going to tell it to us. All right, I'm interested. I'm locked in. Let's talk about it. I wonder if we have to take that into account in Ginger streams. Is she British? I just thought several things that I'd rather not think about. But I can't unthink of them now. I blame you, Casual.
Adverb quite entered the English language from Anglo.
She is in fact born in England. I feel like I just got shot through the chest. Ginger is gingerish. I think she talked about being Irish at one point in time. I feel like I got shot in the chest, not because of Ginger's origin, but because her origin. Never mind, I'm not going to say it on stream, but anyways.
Norman around the 1300s, meaning entirely. Over time, it evolved to mean truly or definitely, and by the 18th century, both American speakers of English and British used the word in the same way. But through the course of the 19th and the 20th centuries, quite took quite a turn in Britain, changing from the emphatic intensifier, meaning completely and truly, to the more understated qualifier we know of today. Like most things about the English, they do love being understated when expressing themselves, as the data from this graph does show. Why say something is really good when you can just dampen it a little bit? And to be fair,
What happened? Wait, what happened? I didn't click her. She just went up. Are you okay? How did you do that? She just went up. You saw, I didn't even click her. I went to click the video. And I think because she walked in front of my cruiser, she got yeeted into the air. She's such a fucking goober. As a matter of fact, hang on, Silver. It's a little Silver. I'm gonna need you to lock in. You ready to lock in? Let's lock in. All right, here we go. Little Silver's locked in, everybody. All right, we're watching together. Let's watch.
In both countries, the tone of the sentence plays a huge role here. The more your inflection goes up, the more intense that quite is perceived. Oh, how's your food? That's quite good. It's quite good. This is quite good. It's quite good! In terms of the original comment, the wow at the start might point us towards quite being used as an intensifier, more the American way. Wow.
It can also be perceived as sarcasm, unfortunately.
Good. But with these two comments, quite low.
To be fair, Sheffield public transport is quite good. That's quite good for an American. Uh-oh. Somebody please make fan art of Yame cradling little Sylvie. I'm so mad at how like I treat her like an actual pet. Or like an actual like little bit. That's unfortunate. It's like something terrible for me. I have maternal instincts for just about any and everything, which tease me off to no end. Like good there, bud. I'll put you in quite a bind.
Lowers your expectations a bit, most likely because, well, they're British. We'll see. To be fair, Sheffield public transport is quite good. That's quite good for an American. See, it sounds more like they're saying, Sheffield's public transit is fairly good. It's not bad at Sheffield, and that's fairly good for an American. See, even that, you could just tell.
You can just tell there's some condescension. There's some condescending. Condensation? No, that's something different. You're a family type of person. Of course you do. I suppose.
I'm picking up the rest of the sentence. You might think that this is just a...
I do call y'all kiddos, to be fair. Kind of out of habit, unfortunately. I'm just used to doing that.
Minor difference, but with all due respect, these next words are where the differences stop being subtle and start getting risky.
Uh-oh.
So I was watching the new season of Stranger Things and came across this interesting segment. Pay attention to the tone in the...
You see, any public transport is amazing compared to public trains in the U.S. Well, duh.
Following clip.
Major General, with all due respect, these kids are in danger.
With all due respect. Okay. So does he respect her or does he not? Americans
Absolutely
watching
not.
are probably confused why this is even a question, and Brits are, well, laughing and shaking their heads. I've lived in this country for over 13 years, and I've only found out this year Brits do not mean this when they say it. When an American says, with all due respect, it's usually just a polite way to pad out some criticism. With all due respect, I think we should do it this way instead. Basically, I respect you. I do. But I do disagree with you in this instance. In Britain, they say the same words, with all due respect, but the implication is that they actually don't respect you or your opinion at all. The amount of respect that you're due, that's in question. With the respect you're due, which of course is nothing.
Oh my God. Wait, really? Wait, yo, why'd that wake me up? No. That's not how it works. You gotta be kidding me. With all due respect, which is none. That's crazy. That's crazy. Hang on. I got a message real quick just to test something. Anyways, he's probably gonna pop in angrily in the stream.
I think your idea is a bit It's basically what they're saying. It's the most polite way a Brit has to say they think you're a complete idiot, akin to signing an email with kindest regards. My friends, the regards were not kind at all. Do you ever get an email from a Brit with both, with all due respect, or maybe, as per my last email?
As per my last email is the worst thing in the world. That one is like, that's a deep cutter as soon as they hit you with, as per my last email.
And or kindest regards, mate. Assume that they've complained about you to the entire office.
Pretty much. They do not like you. In the slightest. No, I tried to full screen. He's such a goober.
In fact, this is also quite similar to another expression Brits and Americans interpret very differently. If we're having a conversation and you say something to me like, Evan, you should remind people to thumbs up your video more often. And I reply with, thanks, I'll bear that in mind. What exactly am I saying? Am I saying that I will consider that and I might do it? Or am I politely dismissing your comment that I have no plan on acting on? It turns out which side of the Atlantic you're on strongly plays a role here. In another,
which for some reason I know this. I know this one.
YouGov poll.
As per my last email, have you read what I told you? That's it. That's it. That one always cuts because it's like, oh, okay. My bad, bro.
Of around 2,000 British and 2,000 American adults, 55% of Brits interpreted, I'll bear that in mind, with, I've forgotten it already. Whew. Compared to...
What? Oh. That's crazy. 55 over 32 is crazy, dog. I've forgotten it already. I will not bear that in mind. You and the horse you rode in on, Jimmy Dean. I don't care.
Only 38% of Americans. Though diving deeper into the data, it would appear that Americans in the Northeast are significantly more likely to share the British stance. I think that makes sense, actually. But
it does.
Overall, American culture prioritizes direct communication. If they like your idea, an American will probably tell you. Same as if they dislike it. You'll know. As a lot of British culture emphasizes indirectness and not causing offense, expressions like, I'll bear that in mind, act as a polite way of refusing an idea without outright saying it to soften the blow. It's basically like a British person saying they'd like to table that discussion. The issue here is that that previous sentence that I just said outright confused a lot of Brits in my audience who were mostly agreeing with me up until that point. Yes, it is a polite no, but I'm absolutely of no interest in tabling the discussion. You see, but I was using the American version of the expression. This is one expression that causes a lot of confusion.
Oh no! Because when Americans say, I'll table that discussion, they're essentially telling you to GTFO and never talk about it again.
In international media.
Let's put a pin in that for now. That's the same energy. Same energy. Let's put a pin in this for now. We're not coming back to it. I've taken the pin out and thrown this entire conversation in the garbage can where it belongs. But yeah, we'll put a pin in the garbage can.
In British English, to table a motion or an issue means to bring it forward for discussion. For instance, if an item is tabled in Parliament, well, it has been figuratively put on the table to be addressed immediately. The way I've always heard it in the US is more like, let's just table that and focus on something more important. Sort of like we're all actively discussing really—
So glad we didn't table that one VOD. You literally, like, spammed me to upload that VOD. I uploaded it as soon as I finished the video. As soon as I finished editing the video. Yo, with all due respect, bro, let's table a motion real quick. By the way, I gotta say, your editing is quite good. A what? Huh? Don't worry. Don't worry. It'll all make sense soon.
important things with higher priority, and we can just leave the unimportant things on the table. In both houses of the United States Congress, the motion to table is used to kill a motion without debate or further discussion. Quite interesting that both countries, like political bodies, have the same word that means quite literally the very opposite. It's quite literally the difference between, well, let's talk about this immediately. It's really important. And let's never speak of this again. In one of his books, Winston Churchill documented this difference quite well as it happened during World War II. Thankfully, I got a recording of the real Winston Churchill reading this for you today. Definitely not another YouTuber. Hit it for me, Winston.
The enjoyment of a common language was, of course, a supreme advantage in all British and American discussions.
So anyways, we're watching British stuff, and I figured I'd try out everything I've learned today to be as rude to you as possible without being rude to you. So anyways, let's table this discussion real quick. By addressing it right now, I think you're quite a good editor. In a British way, yeah. Tabling this discussion in British.
The delays and often partial misunderstandings which occur when interpreters are used were avoided. There were, however, differences of expression, which in the early days led to an amusing incident. The British staff prepared a paper which they wished to raise as a matter of urgency and informed their American colleagues that they wished to table it. To the American staff, tabling a paper meant putting it away in a drawer and forgetting it. A long and even acrimonious argument ensued before both parties realized that they were agreed on the merits and wanted
the same
thing.
That's so dumb.
And there is an interesting historical reason.
Because they thought they wanted to, I get it now. They were like, let's table the matter and never talk about this again. Meanwhile, they actually meant, let's talk about this right now. They're like, we want to talk about this right now. Exactly. That's what we're saying, to table it. Wait, what? What? wait a minute. By table it, what do you mean? Table it, like take it up urgently. Oh no, that's not what that means, honey. It's really that moment. I love that. That's not what that means. For us, that means to forget it. See how the turns have tabled? I'll turn your table.
Reason for this split in meaning. Usage of the term table in this
That's
way
funny.
has been used in England since at least the 17th century.
Literally arguing about, let's do it now. Yes, let's do it now. That's terrible.
But the American version most likely evolved from the U.S. parliamentary procedure developed by U.S. Army officer Henry M. Robert for his book, Robert's Rules of Order, published in 1876. Robert published this book as a guide for conducting meetings and making decisions as a group, no matter the size, and it has been used extensively by Congress. Robert initially wrote that to lay a motion on the table means something else more urgent has come up for discussion that should be prioritized. Eventually, you were meant to take from the table and continue discussion of that motion. But over time, the verb table began to be used in the same way as to postpone or kill a motion. Further books on U.S. parliamentary procedure solidified this misuse of the term to the point where it's now just a common expression. And as is the case in many of these interesting word differences, Canada, America's hat, they often get wrapped up in the middle, where table takes the British definition in parliamentary proceedings and, well, the American definition in everyday life. That must be fun. But this is a video about British versus American things, right? Whether or not Canada is important to this discussion or not, well, that's a moot point. Oh God, this is another one, isn't it? Yeah, originally the term moot point was one that might be argued in a moot, which was an Anglo-Saxon assembly or a court. This meaning has mostly persisted in modern British English. So when a Brit says something is moot, they mean it's debatable or, can be argued either way. It's a moot point. I think we should still debate it, possibly. On the other hand, in American English, a moot point is usually something completely irrelevant for discussion, often because the opportunity to act on it has passed. Like,
oh no! It's the opposite again! Let's debate on this! Let's not debate on this. In fact, it's probably useless because the time has passed on it. Wow! He said Canada is not a... Write that up write up the Google Docie. I'm not writing it.
What route we choose to get home today is kind of irrelevant. It's a moot point. We're already home. There's no use debating it anymore. So how did the term split so severely? Well, often an important part of law school is arguing hypothetical cases in a moot court for practice. It's similar to a mock trial. So a moot point would be a point brought up in a moot court. During the 19th century, in America specifically, this evolved more to focus on the hypothetical nature of the moot point. It's not actually up for debate, it's in a moot court. I mean, it's purely academic at this point. Think of it like, well, courts actually debate things that matter and can affect laws. Moot courts, it's like for students. They just debate scenarios as learning exercises. So points brought up there, they're not really relevant. They're moot points. Even the highest court in the USA, the Supreme Court, has ruled that a moot question has no bearing on an issue. And I guess no matter how you look at it, which definition of the expression is better is a moot point. Best to be debated by a group of... I guess it depends on what you call this next word. Actually, I think I need to choose my next word very carefully for the Americans to understand. Let me explain. After my girlfriend and I had been dating for a few months, I decided to give my mom a call, tell her the good news. Your boy's in a relationship. And one of the first questions she asked was, well, what does your girlfriend do for a living? To which I replied, well, Mom, she's a solicitor. Here's where things went south, because at this point, I really had to add a lot of explanation to my mom's utter confusion. No, Mom, no. She's really smart. Which was honestly like digging a hole at this point, because to my mother's more American ears, what I basically said to her was, Mom, I'm dating a door-to-door saleswoman or a prostitute. Don't worry, she's a smart one.
Well, more solicitors come to your door every summer, and each time you hear a knock, you may be looking for a way to kind of steer clear of them.
Solicit is a word in America used for very dodgy things. Dealers solicit drugs, prostitutes solicit sex, and people get charged with soliciting murder. These are the signs.
What do you mean disassociating? I'm locked into the video. God!
That you'll often find on front doors in America. No solicitors! But that's not even anything to do with the previous group, because, well, that's more the word solicit, but solicitor is a catch-all for anyone who solicits for a living, usually by going door to door to solicit money from you, donations, political support, religious, commercial reasons. Basically, it's everything that you...
It's essentially, have you heard of our Lord? Have you heard of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? But like, for the door.
you'd hate to hear your son's new girlfriend is involved in. Do I have to ask my mom to remove her no solicitor sign now from the front porch? God, how am I supposed to bring my girlfriend around? Even Dublin is against solicitors. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Dublin, Ohio. In reality, a solicitor is quite a prestigious job in the UK. They're a qualified legal professional who provides specialist legal advice on different areas of law and is responsible for representing a client.
Wait, Jehovah's Witnesses are solicitors? I mean, technically, according to the definition, yeah. They go door to door. They go door to door, technically. I don't really have an opinion on Jehovah's Witness. I don't want to badmouth anybody. But if you have to go door to door, I feel like, yeah, that's pretty much soliciting, especially from a normal person's POV. Someone comes up to you and starts talking to you about Jesus. Yeah, it seems a little dodgy, even to someone who's in, you know, the faith. I feel like that's just a very quick way to leave a bad impression. Personally, at least that's what I think. Like, if I came up to you and immediately tried to indoctrinate you into watching Dragon Ball, would you watch it? Even if you had any interest in watching Dragon Ball, some random stranger came up to you and told you, hey, you need to watch Dragon Ball or you're going to die. I'm not saying it's the same thing or on the same level, but I'm just saying. It's just immediately where my mind went. Jehovah's Witnesses, yeah, pretty much. Like the number one thing on my mind when of what a solicitor is. That's immediately what I thought too. That's the worst part. Like it's dodgy, and that's so sad that that's what that is. Unfortunately, it's so sad that that's the immediate association, because that's exactly what I thought.
Client's legal interests. That might seem like quite a lot of words to say lawyer, but the thing is, the term lawyer in the UK isn't a protected title, meaning anyone working in any law-related role might be called a lawyer, whereas a solicitor is officially qualified to do so, and a barrister is similar to a solicitor, but they specialize in courtroom-facing matters and litigation. Basically, attorneys in the US are kind of like a mix between solicitors and barristers. They can do both there. In the 1500s, England had already started using the term solicitor to denote a specific class of legal practitioner, and later formalized that distinction with barrister. But in the US, they went with a system where all licensed attorneys can perform the functions of pleading in court and advising clients, so the generic terms lawyer and attorney at law became the standard there. Some older instances of the term solicitor have survived in the US, mostly in official capacities, like Solicitor General, which is the government's attorney in Supreme Court cases. In everyday American parlance, solicitor and lawyer are the professions on the opposite ends of the spectrum. And if you were to guess where an American
Hang on, give me a second. I need to refill my plate real quick. I just realized there's more food. Mm. Oh my goodness. Mm. Back. It's a lot to take in my idle animation.
Solicitor was educated, you know, door-to-door salesman type person, you'd probably picture a public school. But if you were to guess where a British solicitor was educated, you know, solicitor, well, you'd probably picture somewhere more prestigious, somewhere like a public school. Oh God, here we go again. You see, in America, a public school is a school open to the public. I myself graduated from a public school. Public schools are government funded and are free to attend. It's the opposite of a private school, one in which you have to apply and pay to attend. In the UK, however, a public school bizarrely refers to an elite private boarding school attended by the wealthy, the most famous public school of which, where many UK politicians get their education, being Eton. The word state school is a term used here for what we'd call a public school in the States. State school, like what you have in the States. I guess that makes sense if you want to try and remember it that way. But where did the term public school even come from? Well, the term dates back to England in the 16th century to denote a school open to the public. That makes sense, right? Well, the public provided that they could pay for it or earn a scholarship. Anyone could go to a public school, or rather, any boy could go to a public school, provided he could afford it. Over time, a certain group of public schools began to be associated more with the elite class. You know Britain just loves a good class divide, so when the Public Schools Act of 1868 recognized a group of the top boys' schools and set them apart as public schools, the term had already strongly begun to be associated with the wealthy and the gentry, changing its meaning to more of a prestigious, independent private school. And if you're confused as to why the previous time I used that word I said prestigious, and that time I said prestigious, it's because my brain literally can't choose what American or British pronunciation to choose anytime I make a video these days. There's actually quite a bit more involved here that gets even more interesting, but I think I'll reserve that for an upcoming video. Subscribe and it should be in your feed momentarily. Well, in the American sense of the word, though sometimes YouTube algorithm does hit me with the British definition of the word. You see, this is that word that you might hear American pilots say towards the end of a flight.
We'll be momentarily landing in Phoenix, Arizona. We here at American Airlines would like to say, we're sorry.
To an American's ears, this simply means we'll be landing in the middle of a vast, empty desert in a moment. To a Brit, well, the pilot is saying we'll be landing for a moment. Very important distinction. As someone who has been on a flight where we touch down on the tarmac only for the pilot to give up on the landing, climb back around, and basically try again, I can tell you that landing momentarily in the British sense, it's not fun. The word momentarily has been used to mean for a moment since at least the
I've never done that before. When we land, we land. I've never been on a one where they touch down and they just go back up. Unless it's like a pit stop, that's different.
17th century, but in the US, the word slowly shifted in meaning in the 19th century to just mean soon. I'm landing momentarily, I'm landing soon. Means the same thing.
Yep.
Unless you're British. Soon enough, someone might ask you, how was that new Evan Ettinger video on words? And you could reply, not bad. What do you mean by that? Seriously, what do you mean by that? If you ask a lot of BuzzFeed-style websites or TikToks, they'll confidently tell you that the expression, not bad, actually means really good in British English. But I do think, after living here for so long, that is overselling it. Not bad could mean good, but I'd say it mostly serves as another way for Brits to understate their feelings. Not bad can be anything greater than a 5 out of 10. If you ask a Brit how they are,
it means mediocre in British. I had to fly with Ryanair before. Those aircrafts usually land sideways. How do you even do that? Yo, no. Then I will always bring this up to the Heat Death universe. I will never fly Frontier again. I flew Frontier one time. One goddamn time. I was squished like a sardine. And they literally put me beside another 6 feet dude. He was crushed up against the window. And the poor dude was turning red. I go, yo, what's wrong? Are you okay? He goes, I've been sitting on my balls since we left off. And I can't move. And I went, oh no, do you need me to? He goes, no, it's fine. It's already been an hour. I'm in for the long haul. I'm like, oh, you legend. God rest that man. God rest that man. He turned red and redder throughout the entire flight. We got off. I've never seen someone move that. That flight was 6 hours. We were in the air for 6 hours. right, time for bed, babes. Have fun, of course. I quite love you, Relda. Just kidding. I love you a lot. I love Relda a lot. But no, that was a 6-hour flight. That poor dude. That poor dude. And literally, there was this beautiful girl sitting next to me, and she's like fighting for her life. Like eyes fluttering like she's eyes fluttering like she's insane. And she's like, I'm like, are you okay? I'm like, are you okay? And she goes, no, I actually can't sleep on planes. And I'm like, oh no, this is the suffering corner. And please keep in mind, me and the guy next to me are both 6 foot something. So these seats are like an inch apart from our face. So we are crunched up like a bunch of sardines. Like we're pressed like we're on a grill iron as he grabs like a grilled cheese. It was so bad. Oh my god, I'm never flying Frontier again. Ever in my life. Do you know how much of a refresher it was to fly Delta on the way back? I had free room. I had free leg room without getting a priority seat. I had a DVD player that I could use Spotify on. Dog, we got free crackers, cookies, and chips. You wanna know what we got on Frontier? A menu to order $8 to order an $8 can of Pringles, bro. And it wasn't even the full kind. It was like the snack pack. They're like, yeah, pay $8 for this Pringles because you're stuck here. And I'm like, yes, this is why I smuggle chips. This is why I smuggle chips in my bag. I had a whole bag of Twisters, like barbecue, honey barbecue Twisters. I ate those the entire flight. Now, technically, this was the second flight I had to be on because during the first flight, I was cramped by myself. The second flight on Frontier, because the flight was cheaper, because I was flying, one, I was flying economy, never do that. And two, I was also flying, it was cheaper because we had to stop somewhere else first and then go to the destination I signed up for. So what I had to do was go to an in-between point in, I don't even remember. I think it was like Virginia or Pennsylvania. I don't even know. I have no clue, honestly, off the top of my head. I cannot remember. Delta's the only airline that made me think that I should take a parachute with me in case I want to get off midway. And Frontier is even worse? Oh my god. Casual, you're talking your knees will be into your chest. The attendant looks like she wants to kill you. The customer service is abysmal. They walk down the aisle with a bunch of snacks and then hand you a menu that says, here, pay $8 to breathe in the vicinity. They charge you for everything. They tried to charge me like $5 for water, bro. Like a bottle of Dasani that you can get for like, you can get like a 24 pack for that same price. They tried to charge me $5 for one bottle of water. I said, no, thank you. Looked at me all stingy, like I did something wrong. Pay your plane's fee, peasant. It's like, I already paid $140 for this ticket, bro. Shut up. You're getting your wages. Getting your wages already, bro. KO, did you say check DMs? I'm sorry, I saw that in between everything. I saw my beautiful dork tell me to check DMs. Sorry. I wanted to finish my point before I talked about it. And on a 6-hour flight and you have the lack of ability to drink with you, what choice do you have? Exactly. And then poor dude was like, are there any other seats? And the lady cut him off. There's no more seats. Sorry, sit down. I go, damn. Okay. And like, he sat down respectfully, of course, but like, because of the way he was angled, his balls were always going to be underneath him. Cause sorry, for the ladies in chat, cover your ears. Like the one woman in chat, cover your ears. So you guys know when like you'll sit down and like they'll be under you, right? But it's like there's a portion where it's like they're like behind your legs, right? And no matter what you do, even if you stand and try to adjust, if you don't have enough room, they're gonna stay back there. That was happening to him in real time. And so when he sat down, they were just being crushed. And I'm like, do you want me to move? He's like, no, it's too late. I don't have enough room. He's like, I don't have enough room. I was like, oh, it's over. It's so jovered, bro. So drover. Oh my goodness. So bad, bro. That man is a trooper. He was a dog. I stood up to make sure he got out. And I'm like, take care, brother. Please. Please go. Like, I'm like, go rest. Go do whatever you need to do. He's like, yeah, I will. Like, I saw his face decompress in real time when he stood up. And I'm like, yes! My man! My legend! Dang, it turned into a drama dump. How do we get here? We talked about... He was talking about planes, and that drudged up my memories of... My trauma memories of Flying Frontier. Bro, that will always be, like, my one plane horror story. This was, like, 2 years ago, when I went to Kansas. Yeah, not just mine either, yeah.